So this is going to be part 2 of the Celts, Vikings, and the Druids were Sumerians. And in part 2, I want to show you the presence of the Sumerians, who were essentially Cushites, in the Americas. So the ancient Celtic manuscripts found in Europe spoke of a place called Vinland, and this was a place that supposedly the Celts or the Vikings had settled, and it was located somewhere in North America. So until recently, this was just a legend and it was something that they were unable to prove. Until recently, they have just discovered an ancient settlement off the coast of North America and Newfoundland. And according to the archaeological evidence, the Celtic people or the Vikings arrived in North America in the year 1000. So again, as I've already shown you, we know who the Vikings were. We know who had these Viking ships. And here we have a Phoenician coin found in the Mediterranean. And this dates to 600 BC. And here we see a Viking ship. So not too long ago, the president of Turkey was giving a speech in South America. And he was addressing the Muslim community in South America. And he stated that Muslims discovered the Americas in 1178, before Christopher Columbus, and that Christopher Columbus mentions the existence of a mosque on a hill on the Cuban coast. And this was indeed a correct statement because Columbus himself documented on October 21st in 1492 that while his ship was sailing near Guevara on the northeast coast of Cuba, he saw a mosque on top of a beautiful mountain. This is a fact that many American scholars refuse to talk about, but they are well aware of the fact that there were many mosques in the Americas, in Cuba, in Mexico, all over South America, prior to the arrival of white people. So these are two ancient Celtic structures. And the bottom one you can see resembles the three-doored structures that can be found all over South America that I've showed you guys in another video. And the top structure resembles an ancient castle, these same castles that were built by the Moors in Europe, and these castles can also be found in the Americas. So here are two Celtic coins, and as you can see, the gold coin bears the same image that can be found in the Middle East 6,000 years ago and in Europe 3,000 years ago. So here's two more Celtic artifacts, one of them a rock glyph showing two warriors, and the other is an ancient Celtic shield. So the language known as Ogham or Ogham is an ancient British and Irish language, and Ogham is also known as Celtic. So you can see that the Ogham or Celtic language is very similar to the ancient Sumerian cuneiform. And cuneiform was used by the original two black races of the world, the Egyptians and the Cushites. And in the Bible, cuneiform is the language that is referred to when it says when the whole world spoke one language or all nations spoke one tongue. This was cuneiform. So thousands of years ago, the original black inhabitants of Europe were speaking a language very similar to the cuneiform language. So there have been Celtic artifacts and Ogham scripts that have been found along the river banks of what is called the Milk River. So the Milk River starts at the eastern edge of Glacier National Park in Montana, and then it flows north across the Canadian border, traveling parallel to the border before it returns to the U.S., joining the Missouri River in eastern Montana. And this is where we find artifacts of the Ogham script. So this is what's called the Ogham Pillar, and it's located just above the Milk River in Alberta, Canada. And right next to that is what is classified as the Negro sculpted face. And this is located right next to the Ogham Pillar. So this shows us that the Celtic people, known as the Vikings or the Celts or the Sumerians, they were also in the Americas as well. So here are two more Celtic artifacts that were found in Ireland. And this is another Celtic artifact that was found in Germany. And there's no disputing the fact that the original inhabitants of Germany were black. So they've found more evidence of the Ogham-speaking people, or the Celts, who came to North America, and they left behind what is called a bone needle, and it's inscribed in the Ogham language. And in Virginia also, we have more Ogham Celtic script that is found in West Virginia. So Dr. Barry Fell from Harvard University introduced in his book Saga America in 1980 solid scientific evidence supporting the arrival, centuries before Columbus, of Muslims from North and West Africa. Dr. Fell discovered the existence of the Muslim schools, and these schools were located all over North America in places like Keyhole Canyon and Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, and Indiana, and they all dated back to 700 to 800 CE. And engraved on rocks in the arid western U.S., he found texts, diagrams, and charts representing the last surviving fragments of what was once a system of schools. At both an elementary and higher level, the language of instruction was North African Arabic, written with old Kufic Arabic scripts. And the subjects of instruction included writing, reading, arithmetic, religion, history, geography, mathematics, astronomy, and sea navigation. Dr. Fell also stated that the descendants of those Muslims who came to North America are members of the present Iroquois, the Algonquins, Anasazis, Hohokams, and the Olmec native people. Dr. Fell also documented 565 names of places, villages, towns, cities, mountains, lakes, and rivers in the U.S. and Canada, which derived from Islamic and Arabic roots. He states that these places were named originally by the natives in pre-Columbian periods. So Kushite Muslims were inhabiting all of North America prior to the arrival of white people. And some of these areas that were inhabited by Muslims are documented as being Washington, Indiana, Ohio, North Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and Illinois, and Ontario, Canada, and Utah, among other locations as well. He also stated that upon a careful study of the names of the native Indian tribes, revealed that many names are derived from the Arab and Islamic roots in origin. So the most ancient document showing us the Ogham script is written by a scribe who gives the origin of the Ogham language. And he tells us that the first Ogham message ever written was the work of the magician named Ogmios, and that it was a warning sent to Lug. So according to the original Ogham writers, the Ogham script was first written by Ogmios. The Ogham language was named after Ogmios. But if you remember what I showed you in part 1 about the Greek historian Lucian, who documents his encounter with Ogmios in the 2nd century BC in Europe. So Ogmios is described by Lucian in the 2nd century BC as an old man clad in lion skin with a beaming smile, led by a group of followers whose ears are attached to their tongue by thin gold and amber chains. They followed him eagerly, praising him and dancing around him. And when Lucian inquired why they did this, the explanation that he was given was the old man named Ogmios represented eloquence, for it grew with age and was more powerful than brute strength. So Ogmios was inhabiting Europe in the Celtic territory of Europe in the 2nd century BC. He is the inventor of the Ogham script, and we know that he was a magician, and he was the leader of the Celtic territory in the 2nd century BC when the Greek historian Lucian arrived in Celtic territory in Europe. So the last thing I want to show you is the Ogham Celtic script that is found in Colorado. And the inscription was verified as being the old Celtic language. and it was translated, and the inscription reads, "We are the people of the sun." And the second inscription reads, "On the day of Bel, the sun will strike here." So to the ancient Sumerians and Akkadians, the Phoenicians, the Persians, and all of the Cushites, the word Bel simply meant Lord. So this Celtic inscription can be properly translated as saying, "We are the people of the sun. On the day of the Lord, the sun will strike here."